Hello, you're listening to the Layers podcast. I'm your host, Tayo, and I'm so excited to have you join us on the conversation today. All we're doing is exploring the many layers of our world and discovering the diversity of voices and stories that exist within it. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation and that it adds new and colorful layers to your life. Hello and welcome back to the Layers podcast. I'm your host, Tayo, and I'm so excited for you to be here today. It has been a while since we've had an episode, and this is essentially our first episode of 2025, which is exciting and nerve-wracking at the same time. We've been on a break for a while, and that break has been so needed for us to just go away, re-strategize, plan how we're going to come back better with more stories, more conversation, and just deeper, more meaningful ways to connect on a more consistent basis. So I say we because over the break, the Layers Network became a parent network to the Three Commoners podcast, which is a podcast all about amplifying everyday Africans, commoners, doing extraordinary things, whether it's navigating life in the diaspora, building careers, or making waves in the African culture and entertainment space. It is hosted by Oride, Shemon, and Vanessa, and they are so much fun. The podcast just dives into real, unfiltered conversations about work, life, identity, immigration stories, and it's all navigated with honestly the best humor, honesty, and lots of hot takes. So please connect with us on the Layers Network. Join us on the journey. You can find the Three Commoners wherever you watch and listen to your podcast. And I will put a link in the description so that we can stay connected and we can grow together. And yeah, exciting. I feel really nervous to be in front of the camera again because with Three Commoners, I've just been producing and been on the back end. And yeah, it just feels odd to be in front of the camera again and have a mic. Nervous, but it's okay. So yes, today on the Layers podcast, we are just going to be discussing and having a conversation about the power of newness, how small intentional shifts can help us feel more alive, inspired, open to growth. And we'll just be exploring why stepping into fresh new experiences and perspectives, even in the most subtle of ways, is essential for us and our personal well-being, and how we navigate newness and change, and how that helps us sustain our energy and creativity, and just how that contributes positively to the fulfillment of our lives, or fulfillment in our lives. Wow. I feel like those are all very big things, big things to claim, but as we go through it, you will get the basic gist. So spring is coming, allegedly. I say allegedly because I live in London, so I feel like British weather keeps you guessing all the time. So spring is coming, and allegedly, and I saw this tweet that made me kind of laugh about how March was a real start to the new year. And I was like, yes, I think I agree with that. I think I agree with that, and I resonate with March just being the start of the new year. I mean, I don't think that the time that we get between Christmas and New Year's is enough to properly rest and plan for a year ahead. And that's even if you do get time off. I mean, most people are with their families, or you're just busy. So it's like you're resting, but you're not really resting enough to really like sit down and really take that proper stock. But I think we are so conditioned to run into the new year with all of this excitement and ideas and hopes of what we want the year to be. And I was really nervous coming into this year because I started to think of all the things that I needed to get done. And I'm like, this is very overwhelming. Like, I think we talk so much about newness and a new year and a new week and a new month. I mean, maybe even a new job. And I don't think that we realize that newness actually requires so much from us, whether that be physically, financially, mentally, emotionally. And sometimes it's requiring all of those things at the same time. And it takes a lot, I think, to have that mental shift and open up and gear up for something new. And it can be uncomfortable. I think it requires a lot of effort, a lot of patience, that despite our need for newness, I think we should actually acknowledge that it takes a lot to actually step into something new. And studies show that apparently most people falter or abandon their New Year's resolutions and goals in less than 30 days. I actually used to think that it was March. By March, most people would be done, but apparently it's 30 days. So as I said, newness and change require a lot from us. So let's break it down and add some layers to this. So coming into the year, I was really nervous, as I said, and overwhelmed with planning thinking about layers and potentially moving country, career, personal well-being, and just all the things that you think and feel and you know that you have to do. And I think that that's pretty normal because if I'm not mistaken, psychologists refer to this as like an anticipatory anxiety. And it's simply the fear that we feel when we're facing potential change. It's like our brains are hardwired to prefer the familiar. And that gives us comfort, but at the same time, we are human and we crave new things and growth and adaptation. And I remember thinking, how am I going to do all these things? And then I weirdly remembered some advice that I had gotten. It was actually dating advice. And it was about corrective experiences. What that essentially means is when you intentionally expose yourself to new positive experiences that challenge or rewire past negative ones. So it's about undoing old patterns, shifting perceptions, and allowing yourself to experience something different from what you've previously known, even if that's like in a really small way. I guess an example of this would be if you were in a past relationship where, let's just say, basic manners, like someone holding the door open for you, saying please, saying thank you, I don't know, being considerate of your time. Let's just say those things were lacking. And over time, you lower your expectations or you start believing that basic kindness and respect are rare. Where a corrective experience kind of comes in is that, you know, let's say you go on casual dates with people who naturally practice these small acts of kindness and thoughtfulness. Even if you don't end up being in a relationship with them, the experience corrects that internalized belief that may have formed and reminds you that there are good people with good manners and that you deserve to be treated well. So that's kind of how it was explained to me, and I guess kind of how it works. So even though it was dating advice, I thought, oh, I could apply this to my day to day life, especially in areas where I'm feeling very fearful or anxious. I mean, it could be anything. It could be apprehension when you're looking for a new job because the job search can be so brutal and demoralizing. It could be fear of going into a new workplace and if it's going to be as toxic as the one that you're leaving behind. I think just an overall fear of stepping out. I think that it can be really beneficial for us to allow ourselves these corrective experiences that help bring newness into our lives, or at least improve our posture to approaching it and navigating it. And one of the ways that I've been doing that recently is honestly in the smallest of steps, in the smallest of things. I started walking a new route home. And then I ended up finding a bunch of local cafes. And the more you go, the more you like improve your connection. You talk to people if you're in the mood to talk to people. And I started to just feel a little bit more connected with my area and people that live around me. I still go to my usual favorite restaurants in London, but now I'm like, I'll order something new off the menu. If you're like me, that you're like, I don't even need to look at the menu. I know exactly what I want. But, you know, sitting with the menu and trying new things. I went salsa dancing at the beginning of the year. That was fun. And if you know me, people say, oh, I have two left feet. I'm like, at least you have feet. Like, I really can't dance. I'm not ashamed of it. I will still go on the dance floor, but I will be doing nonsense and everyone will be okay. But I really enjoyed the salsa dancing. I had long braids, a different color than maybe I would normally pick, and they were really long. And I just enjoyed it. And to be honest, ever since I started doing these little things, trying a different order, whatever the case may be, I started to realize that actually I feel really good. Yeah, I feel light, I feel open. And in some weird way, I guess I can kind of explain a bit further later. In a weird way, I feel like loosened the grip on a lot of things that were causing a lot of fear and anxiety. I was recently watching the live Formula One show in event. Sorry, it was a Formula One event in London and it was streamed live. And maybe that was last month. Anyways, it doesn't really matter. And the MC or the host was asking Lewis Hamilton if he could sum up his move to Ferrari in one word. And this is what he said. So I have my notes, so I'll just read it. He says, the word I'm thinking of is invigorated because I feel so full of life and so full of energy because everything is new. I'm just focused on what's up ahead and I'm so proud to be a part of the team. So new and so exciting for me. And I was thinking, yes, like I completely get the excitement because things are new. And I don't know about you, but I tend to see and hear the word like invigorated in one of these like natural energy drinks or like in a wellness product or like in a spa, never really in like day-to-day conversation. Like you don't say to someone, "Hey, how you doing today? How you feeling?" And they're like, "Wow, I just feel so invigorated today." I don't really hear that anyways. So I went and I just looked up what the dictionary definition was, and it just simply means making one feel strong, healthy, and full of energy. And I think we all need that. It's so easy to get in the routine of life, what you know, and stay comfortable. And sometimes I feel like that leads to feelings of stagnation. And I know a lot of us are probably during life feeling a bit uninspired and tired. I mean, look at Lewis Hamilton. He's been in Formula One for, I think, 17 years, and 12 of those, I think, don't quote me, 12 of those have been a Mercedes. And if you've been following the sport for at least the last 3 years or so, I'm sure that he went through lots of thoughts in his head about if you win another championship, what lies ahead for him and etc. And sometimes all you need is some newness and change to just reignite your passion and fuel you to have more energy to go again, to try again. And I think that we all need that. So I kind of want to encourage you to open up to new things. And I've spoken a lot about small things like a new route home. And they're micro steps in some ways, but in many ways, I feel like maybe I'm doing them a discredit by coming to you to tell you that these are small things I've been doing, because essentially what is happening is I am rewiring and training my brain and exercising my confidence through these really small micro steps. And it's not just telling yourself, but proving to yourself that newness and change does not always equal danger, and that there is a lot of discovery without that being disaster. And I think that once you kind of practice with the smaller things, it gets easier with the bigger things. So that's just a small example. And I just want to kind of encourage you to start approaching life with an attitude and posture of openness without that being scary and overwhelming. Like, I feel like that can be manageable with whatever you choose to start incorporating into your life. But as I say, starting to incorporate into your life, I feel like this is where this leads us perfectly to another aspect of newness and change I don't think we speak about. And that's sustaining that attitude, or at least sustaining our excitement and our commitment, and doing that with a bit of intentionality. And if I'm saying that and that then sounds like, oh, that sounds a little overwhelming, that's not the goal of this episode, to overwhelm you. It's more so to encourage you. So again, this is not meant to be overwhelming, but I think it's important to say, or at least bring to the forefront, that if we're serious about wanting change and some sense of fulfillment, things we want to see in our lives, we will need to be intentional about these things. That's why I said we're so conditioned to run into the new year with all this excitement without creating room to talk about what actually it requires from us, our effort, our faithfulness, our patience, and to be honest, our self-compassion. When I was writing my notes for this episode, I thought about Michelle Obama's podcast. She had a podcast episode, and I think it was in 2020. And it was really about social change. It was just, I don't know, I remember if it was just after the BLM protests, but was talking about sustainability. And she said, I'll pull the quote up. She said, "It takes longer than months." I think that's the message to a lot of these young people out there. It's going to take years of this kind of engagement, because these young people haven't yet had the experience of that kind of sustainability, because they have lived in an instant world, instant fame, instant wealth, and this would be their lesson in sustainability. And the episode was more about fighting for social change, but here I am again taking things taking things and expanding them. Some call that reaching. I don't. Expansion. Take what you need, leave what's not for you. But I really liked her use of the word sustainability here. And again, the Cambridge Dictionary just simply defines it as the quality of being able to continue over a period of time. And then there's a second definition when it relates to like goods and the environment. And that's simply that sustainability is the ability to exist and develop without depleting natural resources for the future. So again, you call it reaching, I call it expanding. I hope I'm not reaching when I kind of use the latter, because we can often attempt these really big changes and deplete ourselves, which is why I started off the episode with kind of small micro steps. So think about it like if you had a fitness goal and you were like, I'm going to start going to the gym this year, and this year I want to be more disciplined, without first, making time to think and understand actually what's making and causing this lack of discipline in my life. It's like going to the gym and being like, I'm going to build all this muscle. And then you start lifting all these heavy weights, no proper form, the wrong technique. And I think you are more likely to sustain an injury that way. And that injury just doesn't affect your specific goal. I think it can actually affect your overall goal, and it starts to chip away at something that is far more fundamental, at least in my opinion. And that is our belief in our ability to change and to follow through on the things that we need to follow through. I remember coming into this year feeling nervous, and here's one of the reasons. I felt, and I still feel, incredibly hopeful about the Layers Network, but I just felt like I had all these visions that I wanted to bring all my ideas to life and build a strong community and audience online and create meaningful content. And then fear crept in because I have done this before. This whole relaunch Layers. Now we're going to hit the ground running, hot and fast and furious. But I feel like balancing a 9 to 5, my own life demands, everything was just overwhelming. And each time it felt like you're setting an expectation, you're setting a goal, and you can't meet them. And of course, my confidence took a hit, and I just started to doubt my ability and my ability to run Layers, but fundamentally, my ability to be somebody who follows through on their word and sets tasks and meets them. And I just found the whole process to be quite disempowering. And I feel like this kind of disempowerment is particularly damaging because we lose confidence in our ability to change. We become less likely to try again or attempt new things because it can just feel like everything is failing and all the effort that you're putting in is not yielding results. But I just feel like that's a very difficult thing, because I guess what's happening internally is like each failed attempt now becomes this evidence that you are incapable of transformation or that things aren't going to work out. And it can just, all these things lead to a cycle of decreased self-worth and an increased reluctance to attempt change, which is so crucial for us as human beings. I mean, change is crucial to us as human beings because it's how we grow, it's how we evolve, and we stay engaged with life. And without it, we risk stagnation physically, emotionally, and mentally. When we don't actively pursue change, I feel like we fall into cycles of passivity where we're just watching other people living their lives, the lives that we desire, instead of taking steps towards our own. And social media, this is like a side note. I feel like I'm ranting now, but this is a side note. Social media also heightens our discontent. Like seeing other people succeed, it can feel like a reminder of some sort of our own stalled progress. And oftentimes, what holds us back is actually not our lack of ability. I think it's accumulated weight of past disappointments, convincing us that trying again isn't worth it. And I'm just adding layers to this. Like, I feel like a layer to this or a layer to breaking that cycle is not necessarily with grand, overwhelming gestures and all the big things you want to do. It's just with small, intentional steps that help you rebuild trust in yourself, your hope that things will work out, and it just gives you strength to continue the journey. I feel like I'm actually talking to myself now. I'm really talking to myself now because whew, I had to learn. I had to learn. And, speaking about layers, one of the things I learned was I just wasn't being fair to myself. I hadn't taken the time to really think about what building a brand would require, how to prioritize and become acquainted with time and how that plays into processes. I just wanted to run with the excitement. I have a dream. This is what I want to do. So I'm learning now to create more sustainably. And I'm finding that to be more empowering, and it's building my confidence. Your girl is back. Your girl is back. I don't know what that is. I might even cut that out. So let's just ignore that. But yes, back to the working out analogy. I feel like just as our muscles need adequate rest between workouts to grow stronger, our capacity for change needs space to develop. The goal isn't just change. It's change in a way that builds us rather than breaks us. And it's thinking back to that definition of sustainability, the ability to exist and develop without depleting natural resources for the future. So in the context of, what we're talking about right now and personal growth, we are our own natural resources. We don't need to deplete our mental, emotional, and physical resources in the pursuit of some rapid transformation of a new year, new me, if that's so to speak, or if that's sort of, what you're doing, which is not a bad thing to desire that. But I think that we become our best selves when we embark on a journey of addition and not subtraction. So it's like building new capabilities while honoring and assessing your current needs, what your capacity is, and you just learn to grow while maintaining and sustaining your well-being and doing all of those things without exhausting yourself in the process. So I think this is just Taya's personal opinion. I think that that is a healthy way to approach it. And, that way we don't just transform, we thrive. Shout out to Maya Angelou. And if you watch Real Housewives of Potomac, then shout out to Stacey, because still I rise. So that's really it from me. As we wrap up, I just want to leave you with this, that change, whether it's big or it's small, it isn't just about doing something different. It's about giving yourself the chance to feel invigorated again. It's about trusting that newness doesn't have to be overwhelming, but rather something that fuels us in a sustainable way. Maybe your new year, new me won't fully emerge till 2026. And that's okay, because what matters is that you're taking steps, however small, towards the life that you want. And real lasting change comes from intentionality, consistency, faithfulness to the vision of who you're becoming, not rushing to transform overnight. So I don't know, share with me in the comment section or on Instagram, what are you doing this week? Like, how did this shift and change your perspective if it did? Like, are you going to do a new route home? Are you going to take a small risk that opens you up to something fresh? Like, let me know in the comments. Reach out on the Layers Network, find us on Instagram, drop a comment. And if this episode resonated with you, which I really hope it did, that you share this with someone who you feel might need it. Don't forget to like, to subscribe, to follow, to rate us. Let's grow together. As cheesy as that sounds, let's actually grow together. So thank you for being here. And I appreciate you watching even up until this point. And until next time, keep growing, keep making space for newness. And I will see you here for the next episode. Bye.